Hey, y'all, come on in. You're here on a spooky day.
We have some ghost stories today for you from Happy Chap Shave.
It's a Halloween morning with the Barbershop Duet.
Hi, I'm Marcus Klinger with Klinger Vocal Studio.
And I'm Sarah Vincent with Sarah Vincent Virtual Pilates.
But on Wednesdays and Saturdays,
we are the Barbershop Duet.
Hey, y'all, come on in. Thank you for finding our little barbershop. If you happen to be here during one of the live premieres on YouTube, why, come on in the live chat and meet the Whiff Pack, a cool group of friends hanging out from all over the world. They'd love to meet you too. And for our mention today, Sterling released a new crop of bar soaps not long ago, and this is one of the stars. Lilac embodies the pure, intoxicating bloom of spring lilac, fresh and dewy, with a soft floral sweetness that unfolds like petals kissed by morning mist. It's light and airy, carrying a subtle green undertone of tender buds and a whisper of powdery elegance, evoking dry afternoons in a blooming garden. This single-note essence lingers gently on the skin, a serene feminine veil of uncompromised beauty that feels both nostalgic and timeless, and to me feels a little bit like the lilac from Dapper Docs, except on its own. Here it's absolutely beautiful and pungent.
Yes, I feel like I'm out in a field of lilacs. Like there's something about a real version of this coming through too.
And for those of you who have seen Nonsense, you'll know that lilac can stir memory like no other floral scent can. We love this one. And what is our spooky soap today?
We have some ghost stories from Happy Chap Shaves. I think we should meet them.
All right, y'all, from the sales page at happychapshave.com.
Our Halloween special available for a limited time. Experience the fear dripping from the dilapidated pages of a spine-chilling ghost story. It opens with ripe plum and Saturn peach, giving off a muted fruitiness that fades into the shadows of black violet and worn Italian leather. Beneath it all, patchouli, vanilla, and dusty musk settle in like aged books and creaking floorboards. Do your haunting face a favor and shave with Happy Chap.
I think Dusty Musk is my new stage name. Well, this is exciting, y'all. One of our favorite new artisans has created their second seasonal, and who knows what might come flying out when we take off the lid, but we gotta open the box first. All right, y'all, this is how it comes from Gareth at the Shave Supply here in California. And I think I see a note. You're the best, Sarah. Thank you so much, Gareth.
Aw, Gareth.
How did you know she was the best?
Some cards for you.
There you are. And this is what you have come to see, y'all. Who knows what mysteries and wonders might be hiding under the surface of this little beauty? But there is one way to find out. All right, y'all, I am so excited to crack open this book and discover this ghost story for myself. If it's too scary, I'll shield you from the worst parts
Yes,
of
be
it.
brave.
All right, here we go. Oh! Y'all, a ghost story to be sure.
Huh?
Spooky, misty, foggy, eerie. But y'all, the reason I'm shook, this isn't done with any kind of a dark scent at all. Not even anything as dark as juniper is in this. There's no oud, there's no tobacco, there's no woods. There's absolutely nothing dark. My nose first got like a very open, okay, I think I know what's happening. A very open room with like wood and plaster, but like no furniture. This is the smell of a legit haunted house. Not one that Hollywood has put together, but like a real one, a real empty house at the end of the block. The owners haven't been seen in years. Nobody really knows why. That's what this is. Oh. Y'all, ghost stories being done in the lights. This is completely unexpected and brave, but I love where this is going. Let me see if I can even figure out what lights they're using to tell this story, because the spookiness is coming through. It's not being done with like a fog, with like sylvan fog. It's more like a dusty fog inside that room that I'm smelling. Hold on. All right, the first thing that meets you is a little bit of like an orangey lemon oil that immediately is followed by a sense of a cool mint, a spearmint, not a corn mint, not a menthol, but like a welcoming spearmint, because this room is beautiful. It's just old. That segues into a tang to show the age that can only be patchouli, but it's being used here in a way that I've never experienced patchouli being used before. Very clean, very light patchouli, but definitely gives you that almost mouth-watering sense of tang underneath that mint, which makes sense because in the earliest gourmand accords, it was 2 or 3 notes, and patchouli is one of them. I know.
What do you mean by tang?
You know, it's funny, like almost legit tang. Like, you know, the orange drink that the astronauts had?
Yeah.
There is something homey, nostalgic, childish, and citrusy in this that's not real. I was trying to claim it as like the lemon orange oil, but it's like half real and half Fruit Loops, if that makes sense. Okay. It's sitting under the mint, so it's a little bit in the background, but that fruity sense is mixing with the mint in such a delightful way. Evoking the same memories as filling my bowl with cereal on Saturday morning. Is there any coincidence that I grabbed my cereal lathering bowl for this one? And it's all sitting on this beautiful, nostalgic, familiar bed of vanilla, which reminds you that this Gothic mansion at one time was absolutely beautiful. Whoo! But those dusty musks have moved in to put a layer of cobweb and patina over everything, as if no one has stepped in this room for 30 years. And then if you could imagine, at the very bottom of all of this is a leather, but it's not like a barber chair leather. It's not even really a suede. It's more the leather of Archie Bunker's broken in Barco Lounger. It's more like the chair in the center of the room where the person who owns this house used to take his respite.
I thought you were going to say die.
That's what I meant. It's brilliant that it is the musk that's dusty, because it does leave the other senses to have their own personalities, and then like dust itself just casts its shadow over everything. All right, do you want to know what this ghost story is talking about? Because I need you on board here. This is absolutely beautiful.
At least the way you were explaining it, I feel like we're like little kids that adventured down to the end of the block. We found the house that just has been sitting there empty, and we found a way in. And we're like peeking in the back window and trying to see what this house looks like.
And I'm about to get my flashlight and put it under my thing and tell you the story. All right, take it in, see what you get.
Oh, wow. I see what you're talking about. Okay, that fruitiness that's at the beginning, the plum, I think it is, or peach, maybe it's both, but they add a very like candy-esque, not candied, but just like that little kid intriguing thing that pulls you in. If you follow past the tanginess of those fruits, then they almost pull the scent a little deeper, not darker, but just deeper, like it pulls you into the shadows a little bit more. And then if you follow that, I am in a place, which is fun, because I know we mentioned that sometimes, like if it's more deep or dark. This one has the location, so I don't think it's the woods that bring me in, but there's something intriguing. Maybe it pulls me to the leather. Let me see. Ooh, I just got a big whiff of the tang you were talking about. I get it. It's not effervescence, but it does have a little of that almost gourmandy, but not somehow. Whoa, and then it almost brought me from the plum side to kind of like a deep wine thing. Like it got a little creepy, not decrepit, but just something happened to them. They're not the normal fruits you thought they were. Then it gets a little creepier.
Look at how when you see those lemons that have like fingers, you know what I mean? It looks like they grew too close to a nuclear plant. That's the tang. That's the spookiness of the tang. Like fruits I know, but they don't look right.
I think the plum tanginess is leading me to the black violet, but the violet almost made me feel like it was like the wineness in there, or like a suede. There's texture to this violet. It's not just a normal flower. I guess with time maybe sitting in there, something has happened to it, and it just, again, makes you feel like you're gonna like it, and then it flips and gets a little off kilter. The spooky story is coming through here. For me, that's as dark as it gets. Then the dusty musk almost has like a clean side to it somehow. It doesn't go barbershoppy or anything like that, but I can still see the dust on the counter, but I feel like if you wipe the dust off, it's clean underneath somehow.
Right. Why is John Frum loaded with civet and the new dirt bath bar from Sterling? Why do those smell so clean?
It's true, but that's what I'm feeling with this dusty musk.
Right.
Like it does have a dusty side, but somehow it's not enough to make me want to sneeze. Like I feel like underneath it, there is a cleanliness here or a daytime part of this scent.
It's being used as a spice.
Yeah, there you go. That might be it. Because it's keeping it from getting dark. And it doesn't go charcoaly either. Like where my brain would think like, okay, how deep could this go? But it just adds enough of the spookiness that, again, I want to keep exploring this house. I want to open the next door and see what's behind it. I really am intrigued by the way this is being set up.
Well, that made me think of the best haunted house game I ever played in my entire life. Did y'all have a GameCube by Nintendo? And y'all got Resident Evil, the remake, the original? Here's the thing about Resident Evil. You don't play that video game through the eyeballs of your character. You're in the corner of the room looking down at yourself. So you'll be walking through this haunted library and you'll hear, and you won't be able to look around to see where it's coming from. Y'all, play it in a funeral home for bonus points.
I love getting to know more of the different sides of Happy Chap. Like, it does still have different ways of playing through scents. Like, they only list like 6 or 7, but it's the magic that's between those. Like, the plum, the Saturn peach really brings me in, and it has a childlike vibe to it. Then you go into the black, violet, and leather portion, and that just takes me to know that I'm in a place. Like, I've made it into the house. It just enough to get off kilter-ish that you're like, I don't know if I should be here. And then the rest of these scents at the end, it's not that they clean it up, but they just make you have a false sense of security enough that you just want to stay there.
That's the thing. It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
A lot of the Halloween scents that attempt to be spooky are indeed. They're intriguing, they're rich, they're interesting. But they're not overwhelmingly beautiful. Y'all, I would wear this to the symphony year-round, unafraid of the reaction of whoever would sit next to me, and yet still works beautifully as a Halloween scent. And I think that's why it's more about that big open parlor of the haunted house when you first walk in, where the beauty of it hits you first and the cobwebs hit you later.
I keep getting visions of the ghost of Mr. Chicken when they walk into that old house, and you can see, like, in its heyday, this is probably the most gorgeous place. Or even like Casper, the original, when you walk into that old house, like, they have charm to them. There's stuff that's intriguing, that they just have little nooks and crannies that I would want to explore, like those hidden bookcases and different things. Somehow that's coming through in this scent. I gotta say, this might be one of our most crowd-pleasing Halloween scents so far. Like, it really has something about it for everyone in this scent. It's not too scary. Little ones would love it if you wore it. I think it'd be good masculine or feminine. Like, different parts of it are going to come out. So I don't know. I know it has ghost stories in the title, but if I didn't know that was the title, there is something super attractive that's happening, like the beautiful side you're talking about in this scent.
And it has a complexity to it. I know some of our soaps are on the simpler side, and we absolutely love them. But y'all, this is a woven tapestry of these scent notes. And the thing I love best, maybe better than any other soap we've ever had, I can truly sense every single one of these scent notes, and maybe in a perfect balance. But we'll know in a minute when we look at them again and make a lather. All right, so this will be fun. I think this is the first soap we've got where every single one of these is not only absolutely evident, but they're all at exactly the same intensity. Nothing had to be turned up, nothing had to be turned down, just either added or taken away. But let's see if I'm right. So hold on. Plum, Saturn peach. Are we getting both of those equally? I love how those are coming together to almost give me the sense of fruit in like fruit striped gum. You know what I mean?
Ah, yeah, there's like a powdery thing on the outside of the gum. That's even in here too. It's cool because I can tell it's a fruit. But in my mind, they've almost blended together to create its own fruit. Like, it's almost harder to pull apart the plum versus the Saturn peach. It's somehow in the balance of how they're blended so well, you can't pull them apart.
It's a pleach. And then is the black violet as intense as the fruits? Let's work down. I think it is. I think it gives a lovely sense of almost a barbershopness in the middle of that. Like the violets on the windowsill in this haunted house are somehow still alive.
I do get a deep purpley thing. Like, if I follow the plum peachness, it goes into the violet, I think. But I love that it actually lists it as a black violet. Somehow it is a little more shriveled, or something else has happened to it.
And y'all, I'm 50 years old. We shoot 4 of these a week. I had forgotten from the time we had read the sales page to the time I was reading it that there was leather in this, and my nose actually reported back a beautiful sort of suediness under this with a lovely subtle spice. And I think that is equally balanced with the violet, the peach, and the plum. See what you think, because things are getting tricky now.
It's hard for me to find that it's actually leather. I think it's giving more texture of like a furniture or the place or something. Like my brain wants to put in woods next to it or something. I think I know it's leather, but I wouldn't have picked that out because it's blended so well into the other scent notes so far.
And then 2 notes from the early days of perfuming that used to be used to combine to make a gourmand accord: patchouli and vanilla. And you know what? I kind of get them equally. I didn't realize how close patchouli and vanilla could actually be when it was the cleaner face of the patchouli, but they do amazing things for each other.
It kind of adds that calm vibe for me. I don't know exactly how it's coming through, but it's rounding out the edges of the other things, but it just makes you feel comfortable enough to throw in that dusty musk right after it. It like cleans the slate before.
Is your champion. Y'all, this dusty musk is not only intriguing, but it is absolutely beguiling to the nose. And I think this is the only thing, maybe a little bit with the black violet, that add that sense of ghostiness to it. But that's all you need. Y'all, the ghosts aren't going to come charging at you at the front door in a haunted house. You have to discover them slowly. Remember the others?
I'm even more ready to build a lather because seeing how blended they are on that list and in the puck, it's got to be some magic in the bowl.
So, y'all, this is my Haley's Artisan Saturday Morning Sprinkles Bowl. I love this thing. And if you have it, here's a little pro tip. Do not put your soap into the honeycombs along the sides. Put it into the big ridges on the bottom. I'm just going to grab about an almond size of the soap and push it into the bottom of this bowl. So it's going to look about like that when I hit it with the water from our Sean and Julie Bougie Sprayer. This is the Lateral Bloom, and I'm using about 25 pumps of the Bougie Sprayer to get this started. And y'all, when Craig over at Opus Brush told me that he had created an homage to the Mystery Machine, how do you not pick this up?
We love our Scooby-Doo episodes.
Oh, man, every day at 3 and 3:30, I would watch that while Mama started dinner. Followed by the Brady Bunch at 4 and 4:30, and Mom watched them all with me. There are 2 episodes of the Brady Bunch that are almost identical, one in the 1st season and one in the 4th season, where they haunt their own house. And after we watched the latter one day, we had the idea to set up a haunted garage so that when my dad came home, a ghost would come flying in his car and lights would go up and stuff. But I love that my mom got out the ladder and really helped us set that up, you know?
It was a family affair.
It was. He wasn't that scared, but then again, he had just come home from a day at the funeral home, so,
there you go.
know. Okay, you know what the champion is that's coming out in the lather? The violet. Smell that.
The black violet.
The black violet. Y'all, what a gorgeous, pervasive scent that is over the top of all of this.
I just got a whiff of the haunted mansion stewardess that would welcome you in her little apron.
Right.
I feel like she'd smell like some black violets.
Absolutely. You'd be able to smell the age and the beauty.
Yeah.
And this is something you will only find here in the Barbershop Duet. This is the Attaboy Luther whiff on 3, 1, 2. Oh, y'all.
Oh, it's much more dusty here.
It's way more minty here. The fruit is a bit more subdued and sits nicer in the balance. Y'all, you know how when you smell a brand new, freshly opened pack of Wrigley Spearmint gum, and not only the spearmint, but the gum base and a little bit of that powdered sugar from the wrapper just wash over you with that sort of almost fruity tang that has somehow been captured in this, and I can't get over it. I think this is my favorite Happy Chap so far.
Oh, it's funny. I don't get as much of the minty side. I do get the berry, kind of the gum side that you're mentioning.
The same way that I find spearmint in Sharp Dressed Man from Sterling. I do. And y'all, over dinner yesterday, we put on the den tour of Cape Cod Wet Shaving. You should check that out. We thought we had the biggest den in the hobby.
True.
Oh, nay. This guy's got his own Batman basement, and it's awesome. And while we don't do shaving here in the Barbershop Duet, we thought you might like to see how this lather coats and covers. Y'all, Happy Chap was just an absolute player right out of the gate. Oh, fabulous lather. Thick, protective, and sticky. I like that.
There's really like a fine perfumery side that's coming out in this lather, man.
There is. This is better than half the creeds I've smelled. I'm not kidding.
It may just be time that we finally get the splash from Happy Chap somehow. We haven't gotten one yet.
Well, we're going to have to open some trapdoors and look a little deeper. Why don't you come along with us? I'd love to see a ghost someday.
Me too.
Living here at the funeral home, you would think that would happen a little more often, but never. Like Carlin said, what are you going to do, hang around after you die? It's like getting out of jail. You don't just want to stay there. Now, I have heard a ghost.
Ah, you have.
When I was 15, we lived in El Sobrante, California, and our neighbors were named Evelyn and Percy Castro. They used to run the Castro Ranch Meat Market, very famous here in the Bay Area. The Castro section of San Francisco was named for his grandfather. And y'all, he had had a stroke by the time we moved in, so he spent a lot of time in his wheelchair, but he would come visit us every day, and we got to know him and Evelyn really well. They were very beloved to us, kind of second adopted grandparents. And then Percy had kind of another stroke event, and he was taken to the hospital. He was there for a couple of days. And I woke up in the middle of the night, 3:30 in the morning. It was rare for me back then. Now it happens all the time. I gotta pee every hour and a half. And I heard this voice in my head. And it kind of sounded like Percy, but it sounded like Percy without the stroke. It sounded like him without the affectation. Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, listen. Keep an eye on Evelyn for me, okay? Yeah. And I didn't hear him in the room. I could tell I was hearing him in my head. But I answered out loud like an idiot. Yeah. And then, as I put my head back down on the pillow, I heard click. And my window was open because it was the summer. It was the emergency brake being released on Evelyn's car across the street. 3:00 in the morning, she had just gotten the call that Percy was dying. And somehow, he had talked to me. I don't know, I can dream, can't I? But for the next 4 or 5 years until she left us, we absolutely did look after Evelyn, Percy, and she was wonderful.
Did you ever tell her that story?
No, because
like
I didn't want to scare her, right?
Right.
And I didn't want to show my hand as to why we were coming over every other day to keep an eye on her and stuff. But it was one of those things where I don't think she needed to know, but it did my heart good to know how much he loved her. That
right.
He was
made sure.
literally willing to cross time and space to get that little message across to me. Now, I know you're not a giant fan of scary movies, but did you like ghost stories growing up when you were a Girl Scout and stuff?
You know, if I could see in my mind that it was a story like that it was someone coming to help somebody else or look out for somebody else, those settled with me well. My mom was all into the angels and things, so I think my brain put them more in that category than necessarily a ghost, if that makes sense. But I don't know. Somehow the world protected me from super scary things when I was little. I was a very, very quiet, timid little thing. So I don't think my brain put those in as those could have been real things. They're like, oh, that's just a cool story. I didn't think the scary things really happened, if that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like growing up with a family in the funeral industry, you probably heard very different stories at your dinner table than I did growing up.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, they were never about ghosts. They were never about anything supernatural. It was always just about the business of the living. It was never anything supernatural. I don't know.
I guess that makes sense. You're dealing with the families that were affected less than the person.
Who knows? Although, having been the first one on the scene for thousands of people who have passed away, you do hear some pretty amazing stories from the hospice folks that help those people to transition. Those stories are very common. Those stories are eerily the same, and they usually involve people coming to help you transition that you can see that no one else can. And you know what? Let's have a quick grown-up conversation before we wrap this up. This is really interesting because you said something a few minutes ago I absolutely agree with. This has the balance and complexity of a fine perfume. But I know it's not one.
Yeah.
I know this isn't Tom Ford. I know this isn't Creed. I know this isn't Dior. But I know that this is a shave soap. There is something in the nooks and crannies of this world where our best scents are not crafted to be EDPs. They are crafted to be in this medium, and they are crafted specifically for our noses our memories and our sensibilities. This would not be on a Creed shelf. And thank God, because this becomes our little secret in this hobby. I think it is way better.
If I had to create a scent that matched the title, Ghost Stories, I don't have any idea what I would have done, but I feel like it would have been a lot darker and deeper and creepier.
Smoke,
right?
Tar, blood, gangrene.
But this helps it make more like crowd pleasing, like making ghost stories be more common, like that people actually could talk about it and feel safe in talking about it.
Right.
This kind of helps with that, where instead of ghost stories be like, ooh, we don't talk about that. Like it takes that part out somehow, which is very cool.
Alfred Hitchcock produced an album of ghost stories for children.
Oh boy.
This is what it looks like. You can find it on YouTube. I had to turn it off.
Yep.
I watched The Shining for fun. This album, I had to turn it off. The story about the people walking toward the house through the field.
Woo!
Yo! If that's for children, they are going to be traumatized for life. They are going to be telling that story to a therapist, 100%.
There's something even scarier about having you imagine it because you're just hearing it, that your imagination just takes over in ways you did not expect.
Did you know that that's one of Hitchcock's most famous quotes? Is the scariest thing about the movie is what they don't see?
There you go.
That's why I married her. So it's pretty simple, y'all. Just be Marcus and Sarah 4 or 5 years ago, putting together an outdoor exercise routine where you're going to walk your cemetery every day. Well, you're going to start to look for some fun podcasts to go along with that. Maybe podcasts that talk about some of your favorite movies, or podcasts that talk about the theater or dance or things like that. But once you land on Jim Harold's Campfire, a podcast of real-life ghost stories that people call in and tell on the air live, you're going to realize that is the perfect soundtrack to your walk through the cemetery every day, and you're going to get your own. So head over to happychapshave.com where you'll find this and a bunch of other cool stuff. Well, I have had my shave, y'all, with Happy Chap. And you know why I love ghost stories? If you love Sharp Dressed Man from Sterling, I know, stick with me. And if for you, it's got a little hint of spearmint under the surface that is very prevalent and incredibly beguiling, and somehow a call back to your childhood, that exact same spearmint-ness is in this. It's not in Green Irish Tweed, it's just in Sharp Dressed Man. And it's in the middle of Ghost Stories from Happy Chap. And the ghost stories build out from there to give you the sense of a cold, bright Halloween morning. Y'all, I love this. And in one of the best bases in the business, brand new or not, Happy Chap, you are making our eyebrows go way up, and we are excited for your next one. Well, look at this. Welcome to Messages.
This is oddly fitting because for our October giveaway, we wanted to give you a chance to get a $25 gift card to Happy Chap Shave.
Yeah, y'all, you can pick up ghost stories, and all you have to do to be eligible for this giveaway is send us an email here to WeSentYou at thebarbershopduet.com so we can get back to you. It's the only way we communicate about our giveaways, and then check back here on our first November episode to see if you're going to be a happy chap.
Best of luck.
I was kind of surprised when my mama passed last year that she didn't, come visit, or that something creepy didn't happen. But you know, I think when we move on, we really do move on. I sensed her in a much better place, unconcerned with what was happening around here. I think ghosts are somehow just echoes, just musical echoes of people or things that used to be. I think we really do move on, but it's interesting to know that sometimes things can get stuck. Well, y'all, thank you so much for spending this time with us today, and if you have ever experienced a ghost story of your own, put it down in the comments, would ya?
Don't forget your next appointment with the Barbershop Duet.
You'll smell better just watching this.